Don't be the one that's denying the world your gifts. Everyone has a purpose and a mission and so much to contribute. There's enough resistance, there's enough challenges. Don't be the reason that you are not putting your gifts, your unique essence, your magic out into the world. Where are you giving your power away? That is going to be the theme of the episode today. And how to take your power back, how to remember that you can be in the driver's seat of your reality. Before we jump into today's episode, I just wanted to give some World of TBM updates. So our How to Manifest book tour tickets have officially gone on sale. If you want to meet us in New York, Austin, or LA, grab your tickets now. At the time that I'm recording this, it was the day we launched the tickets. We were almost sold out of every single city for VIP. So if those haven't sold out yet, make sure to grab them. And then we have our early bird tickets where you get $50 off per ticket if you purchase in the early bird section. And we only have a limited number of those. So once those sell out, they sell out and then it goes back to general admission price. I'm excited to see you guys in person, connect in person. I feel like there's a lot of momentum, especially around the collective energy of being with other people in this community. Alongside it, we have new teachings and messaging and channeling coming through with Lacey and I that we're going to share on stage there. And I am just so excited to connect with you all in person. If you haven't pre-ordered the How to Manifest book yet, pre-order. It's so many new insights, exercises, a new way to break down the teachings that you know that are tried and true. I know when I was recording the audio book for it, going through every single page, I feel like I integrated this work in such a new way. So be sure to snag that for this fall. You can check for the link for the book in the show notes. And we officially have our new podcast thumbnail. I feel like this is a manifestation because Lacey and I have been trying to figure out this thumbnail for years. It's so funny because whenever I go tell people, I'm like, yeah, I host this podcast, and I send them the link to it, and then it's Lacey's face and they're like, wait, that's not you. But then what is this? And I'm like, well, she's the founder of the company and, all of these things. And we go through this whole story. And Lacey and I have been really trying to figure out okay, is it a design? Is it a graphic? What does the design look like? How do we encapsulate expanded? Because it's not a person. It's not the host, the founder. It's none of that. It's this concept of expansion and expanding your mind and tuning in weekly to be able to have that ability to just open up your mind in a new way, to see that new things are possible for you. So with this new thumbnail cover, we had it expanded to the edges of the page. It is bursting out. It is ready for more. And it's just very clear. You're able to read it. I'm excited to see it. It goes in line with the branding for the How to Manifest book, which we're so excited for. So we're really proud of it. Our designer, Mika, helped us put it together. And yeah, it just feels like it makes sense for this next season and chapter for Expanded. And we're just trying to make the show as better and up-leveled and action-packed for you guys. We know how valuable your time is, and just anywhere we can trim any sections and make it smoother and direct you guys and get you the most impact every single week. If you guys don't know, we are also on YouTube and Spotify. We have the video component to it. Kevin, our editor, has been mixing in little photos, especially into the process. And we're just thinking of new ways to bring this work to you and help the entire process of expansion integrate even deeper. So we're excited to go on this new journey with you of just up-leveling this in all the little best tweaks and tips throughout over the next year. And stay tuned. At the end of the episode, I'll give some tips and insights and actionables of how you can integrate this energy of getting out of your head into your body and really tapping into the wisdom that wants to come through right now, because we're in a very potent time for it to drop in. Enjoy. And now a word from our partners. If there is one product I could recommend that has been helping my skin feel youthful and radiant, it is Bon Charge's Red Light Face Mask. I'm not someone who has tried or tested any injectables, fillers, Botox, anything. And for this chapter of my life, at least this season, it has not called to me. So I'm constantly looking for ways that I can support my skin and nourish my skin while aging as gracefully as possible. And like all of Barn Charge's products, they have the most science-backed, high quality and optimized products. Their red light face mask has red light at 630 nm and near infrared light at 850 nm, which are the most beneficial wavelengths of red and near infrared light to deliver maximum and lasting results to your skin. It helps reduce fine lines and wrinkles. It plumps the skin for that glowy post-facial looking skin. It can help improve texture and tone. And I've noticed, because I have so many sunspots from my young college years and the tanning beds, which I so regret, it really helps reduce the appearance of the sunspots by stimulating skin cell renewal, boosting the collagen, and improving my overall skin tone. And you can see results in just 10 minutes a day. I know currently my habit with it is first thing in the morning when I lay down for my DI or a meditation, I'll pop on the mask. I do the 20-minute setting, everything at the highest level setting, because I want the most out of it. And I've only been doing it 2 or 3 times a week, and I notice a difference every single time. So if you are looking to elevate your skincare in such a deep way, I highly recommend Bon Charge's Red Light Face Mask. And if you use code MAGNETIC, all caps, MAGNETIC, you can get 15% off at checkout. Again, that's MAGNETIC for 15% off at checkout, and go to boncharge.com or check the link in the show notes. And now onto the episode. I know in manifestation, so many times we put things on pedestals, our goals, our manifestations, where we want to be in life, the way we want to feel. And it's a way of controlling things when we can't surrender to the lesson that is being presented in the present. I got a lot of questions from you guys, some of your most pressing ones at this theme, but all of them root back to this. Where are you giving your power away? And what do you need to do to help integrate it so you're not doing that anymore? So let's get into it. Grab your tea, grab your matcha. Let's go on a walk. Let's bring in some new wisdom. I am opening any clarity, channeling messages that need to come through for you guys to drop into me so I can share it on this episode with you all. It's really interesting, and I'm even going to share here too. Initially, this solo, I was going to go through step by step some of the shifts and changes that I've been navigating and what's been helping me in the mindset reframes. And although I'll share a little bit of that, I recorded maybe like 30, 40 minutes of it. And at the end, I was like, this isn't feeling right. I feel like I'm just regurgitating the story. I don't feel that connection to it yet. And maybe part of it is because I'm not fully integrated on my own journey of my story. And I was like, what do we want to say here? How can I help people right now in this moment, in this week? And I did a Q&A box on my Instagram and had a lot of questions, and I was reading over all of them, so many different themes and categories. And the one that kept coming back was get out of your head and take your power back. That message kept coming through in my mind's eye or ear, or whatever you want to call it, so loud. The ping was like, get out of your head and take your power back. That's the message that people need to hear. That's the protocol they need to ascribe to. If that feels like it resonates for you, listen in, because I feel like there's going to be some more messages in here for you. As many times we have said this year, we are in a state of transition. And currently, when we're recording this podcast, but this will be true many other times in life, we are in that eclipse season cycle, which eclipses allow us to kind of go inward, to clear out the old, to release the old and step into the new in sort of a portal-like energy. And especially what I've heard about this specific eclipse season is it's allowing us to really finally shed, we're in Virgo season, to finally shed that last bit of old identity that we're still attaching to that's keeping us stuck in old ways of being. And for anyone who is manifesting something and it hasn't come through yet, and they feel like they're doing the unblocking, they're taking the aligned action, they're doing all the stuff, where is it? Or you feel like you're in that magic dark, or you feel like you're in a waiting period in any way, shape, or form, if you feel like you are in that, you're waiting for your manifestation, or you're in that portal energy, or this is another big theme, and this is kind of where I feel like I'm stepping into a new identity. I am seeing myself in a new light and a new perspective, and from a new perspective, from a more grounded, authentic, deeper, more mature version of self. I feel like I'm starting to see and witness myself that way, and actually feel it and embody it at the same time, which again is another transition portal energy. So if you are feeling that, if you are feeling that growth edge, that identity shift, that new version of self that is like right on the cusp, you're almost like right at the edges of it, and you're like, I see it, I can claim it, but it's not immersed yet. This is how I would help you navigate. And this is what I'm going to share with you guys that has been helping me. The number one thing to remember, and I just got off a call with Allie Carr, who used to be our amazing, incredible copywriter extraordinaire, brand messaging genius, who I've worked hand in hand to craft the challenges with. And she has now gone on to manifest her next evolution and dream job. She'll be on the process in the next few weeks. She has an amazing story here about this deep surrender. But one of the things we were talking about is that we see tests or challenges that the universe places in front of us. If you're brand new here, you don't know what a test is. It's the universe's way of asking if we're still going to settle for the same old patterns, behaviors, situations, dynamics that we did in the past. Are we going to respond to those situations that used to trigger us emotionally in the same way we did in the past? Or have we healed it? Have we integrated it? Have we recontextualized it in a way that's empowering to us now? Or that we can navigate and feel our emotions without it letting us take us down and be completely all consumed by it. So if you are getting tested from the universe, or you're getting challenged in some way, or you're up against that growth edge and you're really grappling with all of these different parts of selves as you're embarking into this new identity, it can be so easy to make the TBM process and the manifestation process a checklist that you have to mark off in a perfect way in order to, oh, well, I did XYZ, so Y should just come. And sometimes when we are in the middle of that test, when we are in the in-between, where we're being asked to surrender, when it feels like we're doing all the quote unquote right things, but the thing we want is just not there yet, the test in and of itself is sitting in that in-between. The test itself is holding that middle ground and seeing and understanding what meaning am I making about this middle ground? What stories am I attaching to myself in this middle ground? I have a friend who has been manifesting a partner for a long time. She's done so much unblocking over the years, and she has called in better and better dating opportunities and situationships, and she knows what she will no longer settle for. And she can't help but feel the loneliness and pains at certain times when she doesn't have that partner that she's wanted for a really long time. The advice I give to her, and I'm going to share this here as well, because a few people wrote in about questions with their partner or manifesting a partner. Sometimes it's not about anything you did wrong. Sometimes it's just surrendering to the timing it's going to come through, or the timing in which it's going to come through is out of my hands. It's out of my control. What can I have control over is being in this present moment and showing up for me in the best way I can show up for me. So what does that look like? Whether you are manifesting a partner or a job situation or higher self-worth or self-confidence, it's how you meet your own needs. I got the ping a few weeks ago that true confidence stems from the number of times that you follow through with the pings and the desires of your highest self. So think about that again. Your confidence is built in the number of times that you show up and follow through with action of the desires of your higher self. So, for example, I have had the ping for a long time to not check my phone first thing in the morning. I really felt like it was definitely impacting my mental state. It made me feel scattered. It made me feel all over the place. And yet I felt this almost FOMO, like I was missing out on some work email or some Slack message, or if I could just clear that Slack inbox first thing in the morning, then I could go into my creative space. And the opposite was so the medicine, because I actually needed blank creative space for my best ideas to come through first thing in the morning. And then I could answer those messages with actually more clarity and more speed. I really struggled to implement this habit for a while. And a lot of times felt, shame and embarrassment that it was so hard for me to change this habit. This felt so easy to do. Why can I not just look at the Slack? Like, can't I just turn my phone off? Why does it feel so instinctual? And I gave myself a lot of compassion over it. I was like, okay, let's take a week and let's intentionally check it. We're checking it anyways, but let's say we're going to give ourselves permission to check it. Instead of saying, this is a bad thing, don't do it, and then I'm doing it anyways, then I feel shame or guilt about it. Why don't I say, you have full permission to check it. You're an adult. If you want to check it, you can check it. So I did. And I didn't feel good after. I felt scattered. I felt like I just ran through a list of a million things. I was answering tons of people really quick. And then there was a point. I actually had a podcast interview with Elizabeth Enders, who's going to be on the podcast next week. Amazing manifestation story around partnerships. So stay tuned for that. But she talked about her routine. And I think it was the expansion of her saying how impactful that one habit was on setting herself up for the rest of the day. You can hear a million people say this, but it's not until you actually do it yourself, or you have that right expander come at the exact right time, or that one person says it in the exact right way, that just all of a sudden it clicks. Something shifted in her sharing that. And that week, I put the phone on airplane mode. I wandered into my office first thing in the morning, and I laid down on my biomat, no phone, and either did a DI or silent meditation. And that's how I've started my morning for the past 2.5 weeks now, 3 weeks. And it has been absolutely game changer. So I say the confidence is built in that way because when I made that decision to follow through consistently with this new behavior, this new habit, this new routine, I felt way more confident in myself because I was keeping a promise to myself of what I knew I needed and following through to make that happen. It's almost like how you build a secure attachment to yourself is in the follow through. Now, I think the follow through can land. It takes a certain amount of unblocking and running into the fire and expansion to finally have that moment where you're like, yeah, I'm no longer doing that. I'm done. I'm all done with that. I'm ready for this next chapter. I think there is sort of an initiation portal that happens when you know you're done with that old way. Similarly to when people are ready to be out of relationships, a few people wrote in questions about like, how do you know? I feel like my relationship is blocking it. What do I look for? You will know with certainty. It will be so obvious you won't be able to unsee it. It will still feel scary to take that action and step through and change that relationship, but you will know. It won't be confusing to you. At least that's how I've experienced it. And I've witnessed very, very many people experience it in a very similar way. So if you are in that in between right now where you're waiting for that manifestation and you're like, how can I do whatever is best for me? Focus on the things that are building a secure attachment to self in the in-between. A secure attachment. What is your support system? What do you lean on? How do you take care of yourself in that in-between time? That may be the lesson in and of itself. It's not, strategize to get the perfect website or overthink this and overthink that and make this, all these things. Let's say if you're trying to manifest having a job. Instead, the lesson is in I accept that I am in this lesson. What is this lesson trying to teach me? And I think for anyone who is in this Eclipse portal, especially if that's when you happen to be listening to this, or any other energetic portal that may happen in the future as well, instead of, oh no, this came up. What do I have to do to fix it? What do I have to do to change it so the manifestation comes through? Instead, reframe to, okay, this is happening. What lesson is this allowing me to learn on my own terms, in my own way? and from a place of feeling connected to self again. So many times these deep transformation cycles are about deepening the connection to self, deepening the trust, the love, the resilience, the ability to lean on ourselves in those tough times, to witness and have compassion for all parts, to give ourselves what we need, to call out to a friend when we may need that. That is oftentimes so much of what's happening in those ways. And when we do those things, when we can show up for ourselves, when we can follow through with that action and give ourselves what we know we need, that is building our self-worth. That is building our confidence. And when we raise our self-worth, that is going to help us align with our manifestation. So I just want to give the note to anyone out there that if you are navigating that in between, look at the very little ways that you could be showing up for yourself better, that you could be developing that secure attachment to self and ultimately to source into the universe. This is another thing I'll say about this chapter of preparing for the manifestation, of preparing for the next cycle, of preparing to step into this new identity. There is a humbleness, a grounded humbleness that seems to seep in almost undetectably before a big manifestation comes in. And I want you guys to start clocking that energy when you feel it come in, especially with the big manifestations. You know with confidence that it will come, and you know once it comes, your essence will not be changed, will not be different. It'll be exciting for sure, but your magic was with you now, is with you now, and will be with you then. And that doesn't change that. And there's a little bit of that I think slides in there ever so slightly right before a big manifestation comes in, so that when it comes through, you are at the level of your manifestation. You are no longer looking up to it. You are no longer longing for it. You are just like, wow, we've arrived. This makes a lot of sense that I'm here, given what we've stepped through and what we walked through. And you can be in such gratitude, but it feels like yeah, this makes sense given where I've been and what I've worked through and what I've looked through and the blocks and the pain points and all the things. So I think see this preparation period before something big is about to drop in as honestly one of your most medicinally rich moments. Okay, so I had a theory and I was going to use this as an analogy, and I just had to confirm that it was scientifically correct. So the 4 to 6 weeks before a baby is born is when they have their fastest weight gain. It says sometimes doubling their weight, meaning their nutrient transfer is at its peak. So they are getting the most nutrients to extensively prepare to exist outside of the womb. And then they go through the portal of birth and they exist out into the world where they can get nutrients from the mother and all of those things. But think about this through the lens of manifestation. In the weeks or months leading up to your manifestation coming in, you need to be operating mindset-wise, subconscious self-worth-wise, habit-wise, aligned action-wise, expansion-wise, as if you are preparing to be fully operating post manifestation come through. So again, the baby is gaining the most weight the last 4 to 6 weeks, gets the most nutrients. So it's preparing to survive on the other side. It is fully preparing to be like, okay, I have everything I need here. And now I'm just on the other side of this portal. You're doing the same thing with the manifestation. You are extensively living in full alignment, and then you just pass through the portal where you have it. But you are already existing in that energy. So think about what, again, small habits, behaviors, actions, saying no, clearing space needs to be aligned, that when you clear that threshold and you have your manifestation on the other side, it feels like, oh yeah, obviously that came through because all these other things around me was already signaling that. It makes perfect sense why it landed in that way. And I will say, and I was talking about this with Allie, and we'll talk about it on her podcast too, but as you get closer to that threshold of crossing through to where your manifestation comes through, I feel like right before, there's almost like these, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but do you ever see cartoons or fantasy stories where they are escaping the castle, and right before they escape the castle, like the big metal gates go up from the ground and they're like, fuck, we're stuck inside. Like, what do we do? Or the thorny rose bushes pop up and they block they're right at the exit. They're about to leave. They're about to escape. They're about to get away with it, whatever they're doing. And then all of a sudden this next barrier pops up. I feel like right before the manifestation comes through, that barrier pops up. And that barrier oftentimes looks like self-doubt and fear. It looks like almost a backsliding of confidence, a backsliding of who we are and what we're about. And there may even be an ego death in that chapter where we have to release our identity to something that we thought made us feel valuable. And instead, we have to reclaim our power again for ourselves. And if you are in that part of this journey, sometimes it can come during the magic dark, but sometimes it's just in this full portal of manifestation where you're close to the edge and then boom, those big wrought iron fences and metal poles and everything come up and you're just like, oh, hope is lost. I don't have any confidence in what I was doing. What was I thinking that I could do this? There's no way this is coming through. It's almost like all hope is lost. It really is the hero's journey. Manifestation is a hero's journey. I'll have to share how I mapped this out. I think it was my first month at TBM. I was like, Lacey, did you know that your method exactly maps the hero's journey? It is the cycle of life. But that really is it. It's like, this is that last moment where things are about to come through that threshold. And instead of perceiving it as, we'll go back, return to sender, go back to the castle, admit defeat, it's all over, your confidence is lost, you're never going to get what you want, get over it. Instead of letting those fears win, you have to catch them for what they are as your final integration into your power, your final integration into the new version of self that is wanting to come through on the other side. I just really want you guys to see those fears and see that insecurity and see that doubt come up and not run back the other way, but instead say, oh, I know why you're here. I know why you're here right now too, especially if these are fears that you have dealt with in the past. They will come roaring up right before you're about to cross through that threshold. So just keep that in mind. If you're taking a probiotic, there's a good chance that it's not even working. Most probiotics die in your stomach before they even reach your gut. That's why I take Seed's DS-01 Daily Symbiotic. It's not just another probiotic. It's a pre and probiotic engineered with a capsule that actually delivers 24 clinically studied strains where they need to go. For me, the difference was clear. No more bloating, heavy feeling after meals, my digestion became healthier, I became regular, and even my skin felt better. Now it's the simplest part of my morning routine. 2 capsules with lemon water that sets the tone for the rest of my day. Because when your gut health is supported, everything else flows better. If you've been looking for a way to support your gut, this is the one I always recommend. Use code MAGNETIC, all caps, MAGNETIC 20 at checkout for 20% off your first month of Seed's DS-01 Daily Symbiotic. That's 20% off your first month with code MAGNETIC, MAGNETIC 20 at seed.com/TBM or check out the link in the show notes. As I get older, I've been discovering how important muscle growth really is for healthy aging. Not just aesthetics, but to move with ease, to do everyday things, and to really protect your bones as you get older. And honestly, I didn't realize how big of a role creatine actually plays in that, especially for women. That's why I started taking Beam Creatine, because I wanted something clean, effective, and easy to trust. And honestly, it's made a real difference. Creatine helps to supply energy to your muscles, which can help increase muscle mass, strength, and exercise performance overall. And in recent studies, it has shown significant boosts in brain function and mental clarity, especially over time. So this isn't just about today's workout or movement, it's about investing how you want to feel in 10 to 20 years from now. Like everything else, the quality matters. And Beam Creatine is just that, high quality. They don't use fillers, they don't use sugar, nothing synthetic, just clean, pure creatine, backed by science and used by people who care about staying mentally sharp and strong. Beam is offering a limited time deal just for my listeners, and you guys can get up to 30% off your first order when you go to shopbeam.com/TBM and use code TBM at checkout. Again, that's shopbeam.com/TBM and use the code TBM all caps for 30% off. And I'll actually share a personal example of what I've been going through and how I've been navigating this sort of in between energy. So one of the things I wrote on my list to manifest with the money challenge was launching my own YouTube. I had the ping over a year ago to do this, and it's just a creative passion I've been really called to. I have no idea where it's going to lead, what's going to happen with it, but I just felt called to just start creating on there. And I have avoided the ping for almost a year. And so I wrote it as a manifestation to actually do it, follow through with the action. The aligned action and following the ping was so daunting that I had to make it a manifestation on my list so I would actually do it. And with the money challenge, there was so much momentum, so excited. I started taking aligned action. I set up the landing page. I made a little graphic for it. I wrote the summary for it. I started filming for it. I kept getting the ping. It'll come together in the edit. I started editing, all of these things. And as I edged closer and closer and closer to launching it, when I got in the edit and started putting it together, my initial thing was, okay, this is exciting. And then the further I went, it's like, there comes the fear. There comes the insecurity. There comes the self-doubt. Who's going to watch this? Who is this for? Is this interesting? Is this just for me? What is this? What am I talking about? Does this make sense? Is this funny? I should have made more of this stuff. Why didn't I get this kind of camera? The limiting beliefs go on and on and on and on. And then simultaneously, I really had the intention with this channel was to let it be a free creative portal. Like I wanted something that I wasn't trying to optimize or do all the things to grow it. I was trying to be more authentic. I was trying to be myself, completely unfiltered, not thinking about what the tagline is or, what the hook is for anything. And so I had to fight against that multiple times in the process where that instinct to perform came up, and I had to be like, no, what's true, what's authentic, like keep getting to the root, keep narrowing it down, keep chipping away. And I wound up re-recording and remaking things. And again, I had this chapter where I was like, well, maybe I just don't even do a YouTube. It's a lot of work. It's not really feeling how I wanted it to feel. I wanted to feel really proud of it. Like maybe I just don't do it at all. And I had to sit with that and really, really process. I wound up doing the competency DI. I wound up doing the inner child DI. And what I found, to my surprise, but also not my surprise, was a deep, deep fear of being unlikable. And this is something that I've worked through in various ways, but it was almost like I exposed this shadow part of me that was self-sabotaging and overthinking and procrastinating and going around and asking a million questions of how I could improve it to make it better, because I was actually hiding that fear of just not being likable. And it was like a lightning bolt came through me during a DI where I think it was the original triggers DI I was doing, because I was just feeling out of it one day. And I had this memory when I was young, must have been kindergarten, and I wanted to host a club. I called it the Fun Club, and everyone was going to come over and we were going to go in the backyard, and I set up all these games and these, all this stuff, and I invited all these girls in my class, and no one showed up. And I remember feeling so rejected and so just Like it was a personal choice. And it wound up that like they had birthday parties or something else happened or something came, someone had sports or whatever. And I invited maybe like 5 people. It wasn't like I invited a ton of people. But because no one came, little Jess internalized, oh, there is something about you that is just unlikable. And that is why they didn't show up to your fun club. And then I had a few more examples, social settings with peers, where the internalized reaction to that situation was that I had a fundamental, unlikable puzzle piece just stuck in me somewhere that someone picked up on and was repelled by me and thus didn't want to come to my fun club. And I knew that belief was there, but I didn't know I felt like it was a fundamental part of me that I was sort of hiding. And so when I did that DI and I did the reprogramming on it, I actually re-envisioned that entire scene happening. And instead of taking away that they fundamentally don't like me or that I have this unlikable piece, instead I had my, magnetic pairing, my higher self come to myself and say, sometimes people have busy schedules and it has nothing to do with you. And you are going to go on to have a lot of different friends and they're going to love you very much. And I like you very much. And it's okay if not everybody likes you. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. Some people like some people don't. And that's okay. And you still have a big purpose to share yourself and to share your fun club and to put yourself out there. You have so much to offer this world. Like, keep going. You don't have an unlikable part. It's okay to not be liked, but you don't have a fundamentally flawed part inside of you. And I did this on a walk and I was bawling and I was like, oh my God, all the things. And it just finally, something just unlocked, something just released in that moment. And it gave me the motivation to go back to that YouTube and to finish the edit and to follow through. I spent 2 weekends, just the whole weekend editing. Daniel was like, are we going to hang out soon? Because you've been editing all weekend. But I wanted to make that promise almost to my younger self that you can follow through with this action. You're safe to put yourself out there. It doesn't matter what it does. The win was just finishing the action. And so by the time this episode airs, my first YouTube episode is out. I don't want to say that I don't care because I'm human. I care a little bit, like what happens. But it does not matter on my path. The biggest win was the fact that I finished it. And I finished it because I believed in myself, because I no longer was not putting it out because I was scared of that unlikability part being witnessed or being seen. So I share all this because if you are someone who is dragging your feet on that aligned action or that habit switch, I will actually say the phone habit also shifted. That unlikable piece, I am now in real time connecting it. This is crazy. It feels so separate and isolated, but it all really roots down to those inner younger stories. And those insecurities of not feeling likable came up right at that edge. It came up where I could witness behaviors and take that as, oh my gosh, here's another sign I'm really unlikable. Or I could take that social setting and say like, okay, that person doesn't like me, but I know my value, I know my worth, and I know my passion, and I'm going to keep doing this anyways. You guys are hearing this processing in real time anyways. I was like, I don't have a full process. I guess I have a mini process. So biggest takeaways, get out of your head, get into your body, get into stillness, disconnect from the noise, disconnect from the numbing, disconnect from social media, other people's inputs. Know that when you are right at the cusp of your edge, ask the universe, what is the lesson I am supposed to be integrating with this test, with this challenge, with this chapter? It's not a punishment. It's not because you have to correct really easily with this one answer. It's not that you're not smart enough or capable or it's not possible for you. It's none of that. Sorry, those are not even options on the multiple choice menu. It just is trying to allow you to integrate something that you haven't quite integrated yet. And it's preparing you to feel complete ease when you pass through that portal. It's helping give you that nutrients like it would a newborn, so it has enough nutrients to come out whole the other side. And know that your worst fears and insecurities likely might pop up right at that edge. And it is not a sign to turn around and go back. It is a sign to say, okay, you are helping me even though this hurts. How do I need to integrate this? And in my case, it was looking at a shadow part. It was looking at a part that the procrastination was a byproduct of me being fearful of being seen as unlikable. And if I put myself out there in this long form format in a more vulnerable way that was different from how I have on the podcast or social media, will people hate me, reject me? Will I get burned at the stake? Extensively is what was happening. And until I could attune to that inner child part and say, like, you are okay. It is okay. You are safe to not be liked. It is all right. We will get through it. Everyone has a purpose and a mission and so much to contribute and so much value to offer this world. Don't be the one that's denying the world your gifts. Don't do it. There's enough resistance. There's enough programming. There's enough challenges. Don't be the reason that you are not putting your gifts, your unique essence, your magic out into the world. I'm also saying this to myself, but also to you. You've heard us talk about our Pathway membership, but what actually is it? It is an all-access membership where you can get every single workshop that we've ever created, all of our deep imaginings, which are our reprogramming audios, to help you manifest. You can access it on the desktop or in the TBM app on your phone directly. We, of course, have our foundational workshops, such as our How to Manifest workshop, which takes you step by step through this neural manifestation process to actually unblock, expand, and take aligned action to connect with your manifestations. Our How to Be Magnetic workshop, our Inner Child and Shadow workshops. And then, of course, we have a workshop if you are in a rut, if you're in a rock bottom, if you're in an up level, perhaps you need to set boundaries. Maybe you want to focus specifically on the block of money or love. It is all in there. And then twice a year as a community, we gather for our challenges. Our challenges are one of the most effective parts of the process because you get accountability. It is really a handheld experience in how to work through whatever the theme of that year's challenge is. And now to my absolute favorite part of our membership, which I think in and of itself would be worth the entire weight of the membership if we just had this alone, our Deep Imagining library. This library encompasses over 60 neural reprogramming audio tracks. They're self-hypnosis tracks that will really support you in any step of this journey. If you're needing calming, nervous system regulation, unblocking with a specific test or trigger, going through a difficult time, processing a big emotion, or maybe you just want reinforcing, how to reinforce those neural pathways of confidence, abundance, self-worth, deservingness, and connection with your dream life. And not only that, if you go to the app, we just launched Deep Imagining playlists where we're grouping different themes of DIs together. So no matter what you're going through, you have something for you. And we're constantly dropping new playlists as well as brand new Deep Imaginings. And if you need more support in your process, you can go to our brand new video series, Channelings with Lacey, where she touches on the exact energetics that are going on right now in manifestation and how it may apply to your life. So obviously, I am a huge fan of this membership. The peace of mind I get from being able to have all the tools I need at my disposal, no matter where I'm at with my life, if shit's hitting the fan, if I'm feeling dysregulated, if I'm needing to come back to my center, if I'm needing to brainstorm or daydream or connect with what my vision for my future is, every single tool is in there to support me. And don't just take my word for it. We have thousands of testimonials of people who have had incredible success stories with these tools. So take the guesswork out of your manifestation process and get real tools that are going to give you real results. For podcast listeners only, you can use code EXPANDED, all caps EXPANDED, for 20% off your first month of the pathway. Join now and have your best year yet. Okay, let's finally get to a few quick questions. Let's see. How to allow more. I think sometimes when we have really beautiful manifestation comes through, or we can recognize the beauty or the privilege or the wonder in our own lives, it makes us feel guilt, shame for asking for more, for having more. And whenever that, I've had that come up a few times. And whenever that comes up, I always bring it back down to, am I wanting more from ego or I'm wanting more from my soul? And if my soul is wanting more in a way that it is making my life expand and thus expand the world around me and around those I'm close with and around those I impact through my work, then the more is always in alignment and you can drop the guilt, right? It doesn't mean you don't have to process it, but actually Asha Rose, who we've had on the podcast, said this to me when I manifested my home, because I felt actually a lot of guilt when it first came through. I was like, this is so nice. Like, who am I to have this nice thing when all these crazy things are happening in the world? That was a real thought and pain point I struggled with during that initial up level of adjusting in the new home. She said, which is so true, you can't always be in the muck with everyone. Sometimes you need people who are reaching new heights, crossing new thresholds, manifesting their dreams to help lift everyone else up. Because if everyone's in the muck together, if everyone is in the hard things together, and it's almost like this Debbie Downer mentality. There's a really good SNL skit about, I think she's called Debbie Downer in it, but they do wah wah every time she says like this, they try to make something positive and she's like, did you know that blah, blah, blah. And she'll bring up this like horrific statistic. If everyone is in that energy, you lose hope. And without hope, there is no path back to love and connection and oneness and joy and bliss, which is really at the source of so many of our most spiritual, moving, impactful emotions. So if you are in a place where you can expand into holding more, having more, stepping into more, make sure it is from alignment and not ego. And if it is from alignment, know that you are allowing others to see hope, to see expansion, to see what's possible for them. Not everybody wants the exact same thing. Your more may not be someone else's more. If it is authentic to you, it's almost like you have an obligation to follow it, to follow the breadcrumb trail, to go after it. So just a little reframe there of how you standing in your more, your expansion can actually be the thing that helps open up other people's realities and other people's worlds of what is possible for them in an even more aligned, authentic way for them. Okay, someone asked about burnout. Now, this is something, especially if you were in the level 3 consciousness of the money challenge, you likely experienced. Even if you're in level 2, you might have experienced it as well. But the overgiving energy where you feel completely drained and depleted. So a lot of times with burnout, it's a lot of rest. It's a lot of detoxing, clearing your plate, saying no, boundaries. Burnout is oftentimes a lack of boundaries and holding that space for yourself. Holding boundaries is also a way to create confidence because it's showing yourself that secure attachment to self that you can take care of yourself. But the other fold with burnout that I've recently come to learn and started to integrate is that sometimes it's not so much about removing everything that doesn't align, which is important part of it, but it's filling up with what fills up your cup. Jenna Zoe talks about this too, but like flood the system with the positive so that there's literally no more room for the unaligned stuff. So an example of this is my phone habit. When I took that time in the morning to come back to self and feel so good and grounded before I started my day, that allowed me to experience a significant drop in the sensation of burnout. Whereas when I started my day immediately into Slack, immediately into messages, I was now responsive to all of these tasks, all of these things, trying to find solutions to things, trying to figure out what to do here and make sure the email went out and do this here, do that there. When I went in from that energy, the burnout moved more intensely. When I allowed myself to drop in first, to fill my cup up first, it significantly changed. And I was still answering all those questions at some point in the day, but I did them from a place of filling my cup first. So with burnout, yes, clear the things that aren't aligned as much as you can, and make sure you are filling it back up with the things that fill up your cup, that energize you. That's why my nightly walks are so instrumental to my mental health. It is a time to do DIs. It is a time to listen to music. It's a time to get creative. It's a time to just be in my own energy. It's a time to move my body. Have those little simple practices and rituals that you can non-negotiable make time for in your day that you know will fill your cup. And if I can anchor the top of my day and the end of my day with two things that fill my cup, my chances of burnout are significantly lower. Okay. Someone said, I've been too focused on doing the TBM work right. How do I stay present? I want to give this example for you guys as just a vision of one way you can interact with the TBM work. The TBM work highlights the seasons, the patterns, a culmination of energy that happens in any normal transformation cycle. When you're going from low self-worth beliefs to high self-worth ones, you're going to face tests. You're going to find expanders. You're going to step through fears. You're going to unblock. This is all part of the collection of this dance with the universe. If you are looking at the TBM work as a step-by-step, almost like rigid meal plan or rigid workout plan, you are now giving your power and your intuition away to the work. Instead, see the work as a broader roadmap of the things you will encounter, the places you may need to spend a little bit more time digging, like you're unblocking, or maybe spending more time following through on your action, aligned action, or maybe some more time in person with expanders. But it is not this rigid, you miss this, do this energy. And if you feel like you're getting into that, I would take a pause and say, where am I not listening to the wisdom that actually wants to come through right now? Because when we feel like it has to be this way, that's our controlling part coming up. And so instead of letting it run the show and go back to a shame spiral of what you did wrong or how you could do it right, instead just get curious and listen to what your intuition is pinging you about what you need. The more we can get still, the more we can tap into ourself, our source, our heart, our spiritual connections, the more the truth will become clear. And when you get clarity on what is correct for you, you'll know what tool to pick up. You'll know what DI to do. You'll know what person to ask to see what DI to do. You will get the healing and the unblocking you need at the right time. I mean, for example, I have unblocked that likability piece many different times in many different ways in the past, but it came up as a block of procrastination to my YouTube in that exact timing, and that fun club memory, which I totally forgot about, popped up again, that allowed me to have a very deep unblocking process and really unattaching and letting that story go. Whereas if I just did it to do it because I think I had to do it so many days in a row, it maybe wouldn't have gone as deep. But that one deep session with it really shifted things on a profound level. I wound up following up by doing the competency DI the next day, and I did some reinforcing DIs after. But just know that it doesn't have to be this rigid process to tune into that stillness, and how you need to navigate this work and this methodology and this framework will become clear. Because you're also manifesting with the universe, and the universe is going to show you what you need when you need it. Okay, what else? We really, honestly, nervousness about the next energy. What about up leveling? Fears, imposter syndrome coming up. Like, this is all the themes of the questions. And this is really this whole episode, which is getting out of the head, into the heart, back to source, back to connection to self, whatever that looks like for you. If that's the morning meditation, if that's the walk in nature, if that's journaling, make time for that. You are worth it. Know that that is how, if you need to think of it this way, you will boost your self-worth if you follow through with that action of caring for yourself in that way. I promise you things will shift just by following through with that action. You'll be proud of yourself. You will sit in that energy of pride, which is knowing your value, witnessing your value, seeing how worthy you are to take care of in this way. That will be your medicine in dealing with the imposter syndrome, the fears, the procrastination, the dragging of the feet, the inability to follow through on the aligned action. And when you are ready to really take that big aligned action and jump off that cliff or change that habit, there's likely going to be a click moment when you're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to let go of this old story. It doesn't serve me anymore, and I'm ready to step into the new. Keep giving yourself compassion and grace as you edge closer and closer and closer to it, and know that you are so worth it. I feel like we're in a big transformation cycle, guys. Like, I feel like it's very, very potent, very sticky. There's going to be a lot of change in the next month or so for a lot of people. So just keep the hope, keep the faith, and follow through on that aligned action. You never know where it can take you. So the number one tip for taking your power back is reframing any victim mindset, envy of other people where you're giving your power away, pedestalizing other things where you're giving your power away, and not accepting where things are right now. Try to, one, peel back, like, what is that narrative that you are giving your power to? And then I would do one of a couple DIs. I would do the validation DI to validate that your feelings are real, that what you're feeling, what is coming up is valid and real and challenging, and to process those emotions. Or you can use the resentment DI to process through any resentment, anger, irritation, any stickiness there. Or you can use the speak your needs DI to talk to either the part of you that you feel frustrated with, or the part of someone else, or the part of the dynamic you feel frustrated with, in order to get a healing. And then the other big piece is figure out what that thing is that is going to help you drop back into your body and connect with your heart, and connect with your soul, and connect with your spiritual practice. Is that a walk in nature? Is that those extra 10 minutes in the morning without your phone? Is that listening to the DIs? Is that a journaling practice? Figure out what that very simple way is, even if it's an extra 10 minutes a day, and make that the priority. Honor that, follow through with that, and it will have such a ripple effect on everything else. Okay, we'll see you guys next week.